This is Jason of Archaix.com. This is our 5th video of the day in the new series, the ANUNNA files, but it is by far not the last video. We have many more videos on Anunnaki, ANUNNA, ancient Sumerian history, because we're going to set the record straight. We're going to show in chronology, we're going to show in anthropology, we're going to show in archaeology, and in historical text, fact from fiction. But we wanted to release 5 videos in one day to get this started so people can get a really good grasp. These 5 videos are only an overview. We're going to go into a lot of detail. We're going to be producing some fantastic charts and illustrations to show what it is we're talking about, to open your eyes about what truly transcended in the ancient world. We have an enemy. He's a common enemy, but he's a mastermind. He created divisiveness, and he knew by altering the genome to create subtle changes in the human species and then encode emotional markers in that coding to make us dislike people who are not like ourselves. Man, you can break free of that programming, but it's difficult because everything around you serves as a catalyst to fall back into those synaptic fail-safes. That's what they are. They were programmed by an enemy, but we're going to override that. We're going to move past it, and we're going to explore this situation like no one has before, and we're going to get to the bottom of the Anunnaki and what it means for us today. This is Jason of Archaix.com. Enjoy this presentation. This is only video 5 of many more. Thousands of historic and modern testimonies concerning extraterrestrial contact have witnesses describing the alien beings as tall, blue-eyed, blonde human-like entities that are usually accompanied by servile fetus-like aliens much shorter. This intriguing description is of the modern Nordics, the Nephilim, hybrids being genetically created by the fetus-like corporal dark angels that are building a race of semi-giants as they had done twice in biblical history. In the days of Noah, both before and after the flood. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and tall features are descriptive of the Egyptian racial portraits and reliefs in the temples cited earlier in these works on the temples of Karnak, of the Sabaeans, the Amorites, and the Anakim, the Tamahu, all partially descended from the ANUNNA. These mysterious aliens, witnessed by thousands of people, are described by Raymond E. Fowler in his epic book, The Watchers, as tall, blonde, robed, human-like entities. Interestingly, the gods Osiris and Orion, Nimrod, were regarded as being the same deity to the early Egyptians. He too wore a robe with many eyes like a watcher. This description calls to mind the Sumerian giant Gilgamesh, whose name means son of the sun, and the angelic watchers that descended and taught men the secrets of God in exchange for the daughters of men. Concerning the strange physical characteristics of the gods of the mysterious Sumerians, Eric von Daniken proclaims that the figures and statues of these people appear to fit no racial group known on Earth, having goggle eyes, domed foreheads, narrow lips, and generally long, straight noses. Traits cited that belong to the Amorite and Anakim giants and the large Aryan mummies in the Chinese Taklamakan Desert. In The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop, we discover that the racial traits of gods and goddesses around the world from Babylonia, Egypt, India, Greece, and Rome were of blue or gray-eyed, blonde-haired entities with fair features. In more contemporary times, the high Nordic appearance of humans belonged to fairy children. Catherine Briggs, in her huge book, An Encyclopedia of Fairies, writes that when fairies search for mortal children of a golden-haired child is far more in danger of being stolen by the fairies than a dark one. In the Encyclopedia of Fairies on page 62, Captives in Fairyland, we read that trolls derive from Nordic beliefs in fairies. These creatures were associated to the underworld and stole small children and sometimes even swapped troll babies for human infants. Some trolls were giants that guarded passes or bridges, like the Nephilim of old. The motive assigned to fairies in northern countries is that of preserving and improving their race. On the one hand, by carrying off human children to be brought up among the elves and to become united with them, and on the other hand, by obtaining the milk and fostering of human mothers for their own offspring. Such traditions of fair-featured infants took on other forms in other cultures. In the Yarison text of the 13th century Common Era, or I believe it's Ayahab ol Malukat, the race of pre-human genies, jinn, were shape changers that could appear as snakes or scorpions or men. These jinn were on earth before Adam, or the Adamu, before the first people, having been ousted from the heavens. They were accused of switching infants of their own race with human babies. And Muslim traditions hold that the children of the jinn had white European features. The Shamaneh, written by Arab poet Ferdowsi, a Muslim of Eastern Persia, composed the work based from older traditions. It is called the Book of Kings, claiming that Zal, who is a hero like Noah, survivor of a flood, was a son of the Devic race, an ancient race of gods. As attested in the Book of Enoch, the Dead Sea text, and the Arabic Shamaneh, Andrew Collins observed that the antediluvian patriarchs of the Old Testament would seem to have had a very similar aversion to infants born with what appeared to have been extremely white Caucasian features. This is not me, guys. This is from Andrew Collins, a renowned international author, in his book, From the Ashes of Angels, on page 112. The flood hero Noah was born in 2839 BC, the year 1056 of the pre-flood calendar, the Annus Mundi system. In the Book of Enoch, we find that at the birth of Noah, his father Lamech was alarmed, for the infant Noah was white as snow and red as the blooming of a rose, and the hair of his head and his long locks were white as wool, and his eyes were beautiful. And when he opened up his eyes, he lighted up the whole house like the sun. Lamech told Methuselah, a very ancient man at the time, that I have begotten a strange son, diverse from and unlike men, and resembling one of the sons of the gods of heaven. And his nature is different. He is not like us. The fear of antediluvian people was that they were too small compared to the fair-featured figures they were referring to as gods, the ANUNNA, tall, bearded Caucasians. To primitive, uneducated people, these strangers were with pale features and white skin were angels. The Ethiopian Kebra Nagast text reveals that the children born to angels through the daughters of the Canaanites were so large that women were ripped open. You must remember, these ancient stories are from the perspective of people who have never seen Caucasians before, and they were very small. They had smooth skin. They were dark-skinned, dark-eyed, dark-featured, and they were very petite bodies. And to them, Caucasians appeared to be as giants. Enki, who we know as Enoch, and his loyalists mated with these females of the civilized humans who gave birth to the first Caucasoid baby, Noah, in 2839 BC. The many ANUNNA or Anunnaki sons of God took the many daughters of men and begat the Caucasian race rapidly. It was a program. The first generation of infants born were Caucasians having dark recessive gene characteristics, white people with dark hair and dark eyes, but the second and third generation females were fair, appearing more and more like the ANUNNA themselves. The ANUNNA human crossbreeding program, sometime after the start of the contact period in 3439 BC, but in 2839 BC, the project was completed with the birth of Homo sapiens who were of the same DNA and appearance as Homo ANUNNA. They were indistinguishable. Caucasians were very tall compared to the darker races before the flood, bearded, which to the other races was a mark of godhood, with white skin and eyes like gemstones. These beards are the reason why the Egyptian pharaohs always wore wooden beards. They remembered ancient dynasties of ruling Caucasians who were bearded, and it was a sign of their divinity. The pharaohs had smooth skin and could not grow hair on their faces, so they had ornamental beards made of wood, and they were dipped in gold. And this is why we have so many statues of Egyptians with hairless faces wearing fake beards. It was out of this genetic campaign that Enki took a fair female and fathered the famous Noah, an extremely white, blue-eyed, blonde child in the 600th year before the Great Flood. This began the Noachian race, called in antiquity by other races as the sons of the sun because of the color of their skin and hair, and in ancient Egypt as Shemsu Hor, and after the flood as the shepherd kings. Zechariah Sitchin, writing of the birth of Noah, described him as white as snow his skin was. The color of wool was his hair. Like the skies were his eyes, blue. This is in the Lost Book of Enki. I don't know what Sitchin's source materials are, but they're definitely Near Eastern. He might have copied that straight out of the Book of Enoch, but that's on page 204. So with this whole historical phenomenon of the arrival of the Anunnaki, basically, in my opinion, as someone who has read well over 1,000 books on ancient history, I don't care about YouTube videos. I don't even watch other channels. You will never see me cite another channel or an internet source. I'm not going to do it. But in my own research, I am painting a picture. Our predecessors believed in the arrival of white gods that came and gave birth to civilization and created these different races and divisiveness. And I don't see that. What I see is that after a total world-destroying cataclysm, a Caucasian race who had been underground for a very long period of time and could not deal with the sun, their skin was too translucent, their eyes were way too sensitive. They knew in order to survive, they had to take some of the human stock that was surviving on the surface, and they interbred with them. And in doing that, we have the normal Caucasians of today. This is the story that I'm seeing. And as with many historical episodes that are recorded much later in time, we have embellishments. It wasn't gods descending from the sky. It was people coming up from the earth, from their deep earth biospheres, a technologically advanced, very intelligent race of people who had survived a global cataclysm. And when they did, they found nothing but Neolithic hunter-gatherers, Negroid, Mongolid, Oriental, Aboriginal, Dark Caucasoid, Iberian. This is what they found. And this huge story about the Anunnaki and the aliens coming from, it just didn't happen. Whoever these people were, they're trapped in this holography with us. But that's another story. We're going to continue with the series because we have many more revelations on the Anunnaki coming. We have barely scratched the surface on Anunnaki history until their disappearance in 1899 BC.